Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy, Barnett,
Hi.
Robin Grubel,
Hey there.
and Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists.
It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, this is Stacy Barnett from Canine Detection Collaborative, and I'm here with one of my lovely co-hosts, Crystal Wing.
Hello, friends.
And we have a really, really great guest today. I'm super excited. Diana Bunch. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me today.
Super
It's
excited.
so good to see you again. Yay.
Been too long.
I think last time was Muscatatuck, right? Yes. Yeah. So it's been a couple days.
I've seen her more recently. I'm lucky.
Yeah, you are lucky. I'm jealous.
I am lucky. I got to see her back in it was January.
Yeah, January or so. Yeah.
Yeah. That was when we really first starting Prize. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, so we've got a lot to talk to you about today, but can you first kind of tell us a little bit about your background
Sure. Yeah.
and your dogs?
And my dogs, lots of dogs. I'm retired Air Force. Been retired for since 2005, I think. And from a dog perspective, I've been tinkering, playing with dogs all my life. Probably got, ironically, most interested when I was attacked by my neighbor's German Shepherd.
Uh-oh.
It's a pretty severe bite. And against all, as you can imagine, against mom and dad and everybody's instructions of don't go near that dog again, I was able to, now I won't say I made friends with the dog by any means. He was kept on a cable line in their backyard.
Uh-huh.
But I did finally get to a point where I could stand in front of him when he was at the very end of his cable and pet him on his face, just his nose. But I couldn't turn and walk away because that would still make him try to bite me. And I think I was 11, or something, 10 or 11 or something like that. But I don't know. I won't say that got me interested in like dog behavior or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. I just wanted to be friends with him. I just thought that there was some reason, I don't know, that he would bite kids. So, he bit several kids on our street.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I know. And I'm sitting here going, okay, so now we know Diana was born fearless. God.
Not at all. But there was another guy that was friends with my brother that trained dogs. And it was like the coolest thing, way back then. His dog got out of his van and would do all these neat little tricks and everything. And I was like, I could do that. I'd like to do that. But anyway, I went into the Air Force instead. And, I'd have personal dogs and would train them, work with them and go to classes and do all those kind of things that most people did. And I never really, I don't know, I didn't feel like agility work or show lines or stuff like that just never seemed to fit with me. And then I saw a magazine that had a lady, and I'd love to find out who she was, but back then it was just a lady on a bunch of rocks. It was a picture of her and her German Shepherd, and she had all the search gear on, and it talked about her doing search and rescue, and it just made sense to me.
Yeah.
And just knew, I said, that's what I didn't know that's what I was looking for, but it was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And haven't went back since. And that was in 1990. I think I started in 98 or something.
Uh-huh.
So I think I saw that picture a couple of years before, but between the different assignments in the Air Force, I would work for search and rescue in Colorado or Alabama, wherever I was stationed that I could have the time to do that, I would do it.
Wow. So we know where you're from, but you want to tell the listeners kind of like where you hail out of?
I am in Florida at the moment. I live in just a little bit north of Pensacola in Milton, Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I'm part of a SAR team here, Legacy Canine Search Team.
Yep.
We're kind of like a traditional search and rescue team. We do ground searching and so forth, all that, but we do kind of specialize in the dogs. We have cadaver dogs, trailing dogs, and area search dogs.
Okay.
Our team goes from Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi. We have members in all three states, and we'll deploy wherever we're needed that we can support and go to. But we predominantly search in this area here.
Yep. And what about your dogs? Tell us about your dogs.
currently have 4 dogs, 2 pointies, 2 floppies, 2 German Shepherds, and 2 Labrador Retrievers. And the 2 Shepherds are fondly referred to as my freeloaders, and Labradors are the working dogs.
Yeah.
I did try initially. The 2 Shepherds were not, they were, I rescued both and not for working.
Yeah.
They were pets. They both have talents to work in SAR, but they also both have issues that, I felt that they would not be best suited for SAR work.
Yep.
But I still dabble it. They think it's important. So we still occasionally with them and for fun, not for, and not for it or anything, just, from the 2 Labradors were purchased and acquired for search work, for their abilities to do search work.
Yeah. And they do it well. So
I have a sibling to yours, and he's a goofy.
Yeah. Diana and I have full siblings, different litters. So I'm like, yep. They're great dogs. So tell us, so you've also done a little bit of disaster response in addition to wilderness.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about kind of maybe some of your background and your kind of work in that area?
Sure. So I would say the disaster work started back in Colorado when I was on the team there. It was a short amount of time when I was in the Air Force out there. And for that, it was tornadoes. Just going in and there were, and it wasn't anything high end for me at that time because I was starting out. So, but it was, in that response of that. And certainly in the Air Force, there's times for that training without a dog or anything, but you're still exposed to that type of environments. And then being on the search team here with Class Kids, the National Search, our team, some of our members, those that were part of it, were a part of the Louisiana Task Force. Us and part members of another team in Louisiana kind of made up their dog team part. So we go over to Louisiana, train with their urban task force, and then we would respond when they got called out. So I've been on several different hurricanes prior to the more recent ones, like Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Sally, Laura, different ones like that. And they all bring different aspects. I mean, certainly Hurricane Michael was a huge disaster for the Florida area. And then, of course, Hurricane Helena. So those are kind of my background, if you will. We're no longer part of the Louisiana Task Force. So we're not technically assigned to any task force or any team like that at this time.
Yeah. And, doing like general wilderness can be very, very different than a lot of your natural disasters.
Very much. Very much.
I mean, I personally had a little taste of it flanking for a flood situation, and it kind of paled, and it wasn't nearly kind of what happened with all the hurricanes, but it was still very severe for the local area. And I just remember kind of just it was a little extra compared to what you might find with your typical wilderness deployment. And I would like to kind of hear from your perspective, like, what do you see as kind of like the major differences between what a team might expect? Like if they have a lot of wilderness background and they've never deployed in a disaster type scenario, like what really is the difference from your perspective and what you've seen?
Well, when I say we're a traditional search and rescue team, while that's true, the area that I'm in currently right now, we do a lot of, I guess I'm thinking of the best word, maybe urban searching, if you will. And a lot of cases, the criminal cases and so forth, we are exposed much more frequently we do wilderness, certainly, but not the wilderness like, say, Washington State or so forth. You just have acres and acres and acres like Colorado, mountains and wilderness. Ours is blessed with swamps and alligators and stuff like that.
No, thank you.
Blessed is a word.
Yeah. That's one of those words that you can use in a lot of different ways, right?
Exactly. Bless your heart.
Like, bless your heart, kind of deal.
Yeah. We have, I think one of my teammates during the recent hurricane, we talked about a lot there too, what we'd be exposed to and are we ready for this and should we do this, et cetera. And we're exposed to a lot. The dogs here, we have, sometimes I want to call them mini landfills. The environments that we have, the backyards, the houses, some of them are just in the most horrible state. There's times where I've walked out of houses and I've thought, could there be anything else in that house on the floor, and the trash and the debris? And One house was, I think the person probably every time they opened a can of cat food, they just threw the can on the floor. And
Yeah.
I don't know whether they put the cat food in, but I mean, just stuff is everywhere. And certainly on the disaster response, the volume is so much more.
Yeah.
But some of the same items are all there. It's just so much more.
Yeah.
So the wilderness, one would think, well, you're out and you put on your snake boots or your regular boots and a couple of things of water and your first aid kit, and you're off and you're just walking through some brush and then more brush and more brush and more brush.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for the disaster, particularly this last one, you have to appreciate your emotional response that you're going to have. You have to acknowledge that and be ready for it. Even that, you're probably not going to be ready for it.
Yeah.
So no matter what you think or how much you train or what you do, it will be worse. It will be a lot worse. And just to see the magnitude of homes, everything in it smashed down and pushed against and put in places that couldn't imagine that they would be, along with everything else that from restaurants or everything that's rotting, decomposing, and it's all mixed in together. Whereas in the wilderness, you might come across a dead animal. Sure. You smell it from a long way off and you kind of go, that's a deer or whatever. And the dogs kind of get used to that. And now try to put everything in the world you can think of together. Oh, and then have it strung along miles and miles and miles. It's the magnitude of it. I think it's the difference.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, locally we've had tornadoes and we had a plane go down. And for the local teams, they would call different teams out. And some teams would have handlers that say, I'm not ready. And others would say, I'm ready for that. What kind of advice would you give to let people kind of know if they're ready? Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Because I think that sometimes people will just say, hey, let's try it. And they don't really know. So I always kind of also go, if you don't know if you're ready, you're not. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people, we all want to help. That's why we do this.
Right.
So I think that's just the challenge, the struggle. It's like, I want to help. I just want to go. I want to help. I want to do whatever I can. And you really have to be honest with yourself, particularly when you're bringing a dog. Because you may be ready. You may have all the gear and everything, but I think you have to be truly honest. Have you put your dog in the environment to make them successful to where you go to the disaster area? You haven't trained on things that the dog can keep their balance on. Simple things. You have to just, I think, be truly honest with yourself to say, it's just not a place to go to see if you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because all kinds of things happen. But you have to make sure that, like I said, the dog has been exposed to not just you threw out a piece of chicken.
Yeah.
We're talking about take the entire chicken farm and kill all the chickens and let them decompose for about 10 days, then work your dog.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's thinking, well, you can't, that's unrealistic. We can't do that. Of course we can't. But you can try to, like all of us do for all of our training, is try to make it as realistic as possible. But you get the dog in the best physical shape that you can and expose them to all the different environments that you can, all the distractions that you can, combine those. So you put them in a very stressful environment with a lot of noise and one of the days there, the dust was so strong. It was everywhere. And of course, they're trying to clean up too in different areas. So that just is kind of blowing it around and so forth. And that's an impact on you. It's an impact on your dog.
Yeah.
And then mix all of it. And that's the other thing is not just, we'll tend to bring out distractors. You guys do a phenomenal class on the distractors. Then I could put them all together.
Yep.
And then take a little jar of source and put under it. We typically will work with our dog. And if our dog goes over to look at or smell that dead raccoon, what's the first thing we're going to do? Leave it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's an instinct. Leave it alone. But what if the body's under that? The dog has to have that confidence to say, no, I'm not going to leave it because my target odor is here.
Yeah.
You have to have trained that to know, do you just make your leave it stronger? Do you go over there and get your dog and pull them off of it? Or do you recognize that slight change of behavior that is associated with target odor, or that ability for your dog to say, no, wait, let me investigate this? Have you trained that? Have you looked at that? Have you noticed those behaviors with target odor, then outside of target odor, and then the overlapping? And I just think that sometimes the disasters like this one are of such, like I said, the magnitude that no one truly trains at that level.
Yeah.
You do everything you can to be prepared for it and go. But I think the new people just have to be really honest and say right now. So if you didn't go and you wanted to go, then what are you doing today to be ready for the next one?
Right.
So that's the next question I have for you then. What advice would you give to people? Like, do you have any tips for training dogs to work independently in those kinds of environments? Like, do you have any drills or things like that that people could take away and go, yeah, I should be doing that right now? Or even just like training thoughts. Like, I know you just shared a bunch, of like layering in your distractors right there with your source. But do you have ways of kind of building that or things you think that people could use?
Sure. I think on some of it is you take all the little components of it and train those. So if you're looking at distractors, for me, I usually will start with high value rewards. I mean, it's always this big thing. Rewards is kind of like this overarching that goes with everything. But you think about your rewards and what's important to your dog and make those high value and be ready with your timing. Make sure you're solid there when you start these things. Take some low value distractors with some high value target odor, maybe stronger target odor, lower smelling distractors. And over time, you work that to make sure that your dog is a lot of the not this, but this game where they ignore that and you reward your timing is really good and you reward very well for when they make those correct choices and you be ready for the incorrect, you set those things up. And then over time, you don't just rush out and do it all at once and then I'm just going to take care of everything one day, and then slowly change that balance to where your target odor is lower and your distractors are higher, but not just, like I said, you don't just take a part. One of the really interesting things that I saw in my own dog there, I knew across this bridge on the opposite side of the river was a decomposing pig, a whole pig. And we trained off of whole pigs and parts and pieces of pigs. But there's a difference in, like with their target odor, particularly for cadaver, we want to have the ability to we have different levels of source. And we always try to go to whole body seminars, the whole body farms, et cetera, because you want to expose your dog and have that large source. You want to do the same thing for distractors. You put out a piece of rotten Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's totally different for both you and your dog when it's a 30-pound bag of rotten food from a restaurant.
Yeah.
It'll get your attention as it will the dog. But for the pig, I noticed there's a difference in how far away you are from that distractor. We teach that with the target odor. If your dog is close to, if you put a large source and sometimes maybe 20, 30 feet away, the level of odor off of that large source at that distance may be more in line with the threshold of odor they're used to because you only have small source. Think about that kind of in the reverse with the pig. I noticed with Raven, when she was far away from it, she showed me more behaviors that were in line with, she had the look and the walk, the dance, everything that she was getting paid. This thing she had in her head, I'm getting ready to get paid.
Oh.
I'm going to be playing all afternoon. She crossed that bridge and she's prancing, her head's high, and she left me. She was long gone. And I followed because I knew what was over there.
Yeah.
And as I got close to her, I didn't know where the pig was. And as we got a little closer, I could see it off the bank. As Raven got closer, it was just so comical. She, at that point, the closer she got, the more certain she was, this is not going to pay me. She was so funny. No alert or anything. She just kind of like a little drive-by. She just keeps on running, turns, and goes back in the opposite direction. It's slick about it. I'll give her that. And she was like, okay, yeah, nothing to see here. Let's go back, Mom. I went,
I can see it so well.
And, when we crossed back over the bridge, it was on the other side of the bank. The wind is blowing toward us on the opposite side, right from where the pig was.
Oh.
So now, across the river, she got that same behavior because now she's further away.
Okay.
She goes into this brush and she's thinking, oh, now this is really it. And I'm like, no, it's still not it. But it was just interesting for me to learn, okay, large distractor odor at different distance will affect your dog in different ways.
Wow.
So a lot of times we train closer on a distractor because we want to make sure the dog's not going to get it or eat it or whatever. We're not going to be, I don't know, quarter of a mile away.
Right.
So those are some of the things that, I mean, I never really even thought about that
Yeah.
until I saw my own dog and just kind of laughed. And so you have to kind of almost plan out your training plan on this to say, how am I going to introduce this kind of distractor? What size? How am I going to get it? Where am I going to store it? All those kind of things. How am I going to reward everything? And then set up your drills. Sometimes you try to find a wooded area that has a trail in it. And I can take really stinky sores, we call it, and go down the trail and put it off into the woods a little ways. So the dog, in the beginning is going to get the confidence that they just have to step off the trail to go in and alert, and I can reward that. But over time, that distance will get longer and longer and longer.
Right.
The dog understands, and I'll try to set it up to where the wind is coming toward the trail. You have to kind of set these days up like that to go, okay, it's a really windy day. I'm going to run out and do this problem today. And set it up to where the dog can't help but get odor and run toward it.
Yeah.
But you stay on the trail. So you're going to teach your dog and the confidence over time that the dog knows no matter where I go, she will be there with my reward. It's the trust that we build with their dogs to know I will be there. Don't worry. You can go to source, and my alert is that she stays. It's a bark and hold. She will stay there and bark until I get there.
Right.
But you can't accomplish that in one day. It takes time.
Yeah. And it sounds like you also have to have a really good reinforcement system.
Yes.
So otherwise it's kind of like, if you're going to have an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the things that you should find out along the way with your dog, the things that we owe it to them, is to find out what that reinforcement is for them. We owe it to them to have our timing correct.
Yep.
When we talk about people that throw the ball in, and there's some people that can't throw the ball in.
It's one reason why I would not try that personally. I think Crystal's seen me try to throw. Now, Crystal, however, I have to tell you, sorry, I digress a lot. But so anyway, if she threw a ball, she could literally hit, I think a quarter mile away, she could hit it. She's got that kind of an arm, but I don't. So
if you're going to have a ball reward, though, you're going to have to do that. That's relationship. That's your agreement to, I've talked to people, I said, okay, your homework this week, you have to practice throwing the ball without your dog. You have to find objects, a telephone pole or whatever, and you have to hit that 90% of the time kind of thing, because we joke and go, you had one job, and you couldn't get the ball to your dog.
And really, a little pro tip for that is if you just tell yourself, I can't hit that, don't hit that, then you'll hit it. It's like the only chair in the place, and I'll say, okay, don't hit that, and that is exactly what I'll hit. So in my brain, I kind of go, all right, as long as I don't hit that, and I hit it every time now. I'm like, cool, there's my mental trick.
So it's really easy for me. I do have a ball reward dog, but I have a refined dog. So by the time I'm rewarding her, she's like at the person. So it's really I take away that whole issue.
Yeah.
What about like knowns and blinds and that kind of thing in terms of the necessity of that for training these types of situations?
I mentioned that in, I think, one of my posts there.
Yeah.
And that got some conversation going, I think.
And that was a great post. And we'll make sure we share. You had a wonderful post on social media.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that we share that too on our social media platform, just to kind of let people know where a lot of this conversation started. You did a beautiful job with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think that all three are very important. Working a known training session with your dog, the blinds where you don't know, and then the blanks.
Yeah.
For me, in the beginning, I don't do blanks at first. I don't do blinds at first. I work known. I work knowns for a while. That allows me to understand exactly what my dog is doing. I get to see the behavior of that particular dog. I'm learning, if it's a new dog, I'm learning that dog's behavior with target odor, their behavior with non-target odor, their behavior in an environment, everything. I'm learning as the dog is working. So I want to see how odor's flowing, how the hide is set up, how the dog's reacting to the scent, everything. It's harder, I think, for me if I try to work it blind, because then I don't think I can appreciate when the dog's coming into odor. Maybe I've missed something subtle. Whereas with a known, I can see it. I can see it coming, if you will. I can anticipate it and learn from it. And then, of course, the blinds, I think, is more for me trying to, and I say testing, that's not the right word but I think more for me. I think the blanks are, for me, would come in much later when the dog is very solid, stable with their foundation work. So I'm going to work a lot of knowns, a whole lot of knowns in the beginning. Maybe as a dog gets more maturity and knows what they're doing, I'll start introducing some blinds. And I mean, I can distinctly remember, I don't remember as much for Raven, but Phoenix certainly on his first blind, or not blind, but his first blank, it was up. So when I start introducing the blanks, they will be smaller search areas, shorter amount of time in the beginning. Because I think I have to teach them. Sometimes you don't have. And he wouldn't come to me. It was almost like, just 5 more minutes, Mom, 5 more minutes. Find it. I promise. I'll find it. You leash him up and you kind of pull him away. And I'm just thinking, not this time, buddy, because it's not out here.
Yeah.
And they learn over time that sometimes there's going to be blanks. So I think usually for me, it's not an absolute, but usually when they're about ready to be certified, of course, the certifications include blanks. So you'd want to certainly be, ready for that. But around that time frame is when I'm starting to introduce, blanks. And like I said, increasing, I wouldn't, and it's not just, I think some people are like, yeah, I work blanks all the time. I just go out there and I'll do it like an hour or two or whatever. And I try to make sure people understand, or like for me, for training for myself, is it's not just a time to rack up some nose time.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, you have to be, again, honest with yourself. Are you working this blank the same way you're working a regular training session? If not, it's not really you're cheating.
Yeah.
Your dog. I mean, you already know it's blank, but you're cheating your dog.
Right. Well, then there's also blind blanks, right?
Yeah. At some point, you have to get where you don't know.
Yeah.
You're mixing things up, and you either have a blind that has a source. I mean, a true blind, you don't know if it's got a source in it or not.
Yeah.
Or else it's really not a blind, because something's out there. You may not know where it is or anything, but if you really, working at that level, you are going to step up and say, okay, here's your area, here's your problem, here's what, it's like a search. What I need to know on a search is how long has a person been missing? They've been missing a week versus 6 years. I work my dog differently. So everything's the same. You train to it, you start out small, and you continue to build the endurance, everything for your dog. You just can't throw it all at them at once.
Yeah. Like, how do you balance that? Like once your dog, you've introduced all of those things to your dog, you're post certified at this point. Now you're trying to kind of weave all of that in to try to continue to develop that dog. Like, how do you balance all that out?
I would say for me, I would like to, for my training, is try to make it certainly in line with the type of searches that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the type of training that I will do more of, for us to be like less vehicles, less buildings. We do certainly search vehicles and buildings, but if I'm looking at percentages, the percentages would be more of urban, wilderness, et cetera. So I would do more of those, or more buried, et cetera. In line with that, most of the searches are going to be blank.
Yep.
So therefore, it would reason that I would do more blanks than hides. It's always hard for the people, us in general. I think we go out and we want our dogs to have fun, and we want them to be successful, meaning we want them to find a hide.
Right.
But they are successful when they find and don't respond to anything in a blank environment.
Yeah.
So I think that's where some may maybe lose the gist of it, if you will. For me, I take Raven out and we work a blank. I'm going to try to work it hard the way I would normally truly search an area.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about, and Robin stressed this early on, and I've tried to remember that over the years, is what is my objective for that training problem? And sometimes the objective is like, well, it's a blank. What's your objective in working the blank?
Yeah.
Right. And maybe is that I want to have her check a few areas where I'm a little bit more in her business. Here, check here. No, check here.
Yeah.
And push her a little bit, maybe frustrate her a little bit that I'm too much in her business of working. Mm-hmm. But I want to see, can I push her at this level in her training? Again, not in the beginning. And will it make her start maybe doing a false alert or something? Will it change the way she searches if I get in her business too much? But I want to reward her. Everybody's different. Some people are like, well, I don't use the same reward, or I don't reward it all on a blank, or all the different things. I do reward Raven on a blank.
Mm-hmm. If
she does the job I ask her to do, I do reward that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I reward throughout the session.
Mm-hmm.
There's some saying, well, you have to reward your dog after you search, or we're talking about rewarding at target odor. Well, maybe on these disasters or even on a regular search, you don't have target odor reward.
Right.
So reward her for doing a good job. I can reward her for not swimming when we're near water. I could reward her. Like Robin said, if the dog comes off of a deer that popped out, I'm going to reward that. And then I'm going to start my search again.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of ways you can reward your dog to keep them motivated, to keep them engaged, to try to extend that search in preparation for longer searches, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think that's rewarding for the handler. I think sometimes you're just saying that sometimes it's hard for the handlers because it's not fun. They're not finding the thing. But I think if we start reframing it for handlers to start saying, look for the rewardable moments, look for the moments that you can reinforce, maybe that's a way to kind of make it more valuable for the handlers. So when they do not chase the deer or go to the water, if they're more aware of those distractions and challenges. So maybe, I don't know, just when I was listening, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the dogs are having fun anyway. They're hunting.
Right.
We actually experience this a little bit on the sports side, right? Where handlers get very tied up in wanting to find the hides. And we have a lot of blanks and everything in our competitions. And I'm always coaching people to kind of shift their mindset that the dog's really having fun hunting. And really when we find hides, that's when we get excited. And it is a little bit of a mind shift even on that side.
Yeah. So you hear, got to end on a positive note.
Right.
And the positive note is, to me, it's like I control the positive note.
Yeah.
And if they didn't find any, it's different if there's a hide in there and we didn't find it.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And I'm even, so you go through things through the career. It's like, well, searching, like you really want to be successful. There's a hide out there. And it's like, okay, can you narrow down my search area? Can you this? Can you that? No. The question would be did you properly search your area?
Uh-huh.
If I say yes, then I missed it.
Yeah.
And it may be that you're missed anyway, so you stop and you go, okay, I'm having trouble finding it. My dog and I both together as a team, we're having trouble finding it.
Right.
Somebody may say, well, I can tell you this, that your dog or you both, you haven't been in the position to make it successful. And then I go, okay, so I didn't do my search strategy properly. I wasn't paying attention that I've missed an area, maybe a whole corner or something.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's a miss. Take your miss and learn from it.
Yep.
Because you're going to get better that way, for sure. The dog's going to get a whole lot better. I think it's important that you mix all three of those in your training.
Really, really, really good points. Really good points. Yeah. I mean, it makes us, as interviewing you, what I'm sitting here is also thinking about, like, from my own personal perspective, how can I, and hopefully this is what our listeners are doing, is like, how can I improve what I'm doing currently to make myself stronger? And that's really kind of what we're trying to get people to do. Of course, here I am as somebody interviewing you, actually doing this in my own head. And it's like, anyway.
Okay, I'll share mine too then.
Okay.
Emily Lawrence was here. She was doing a tracking thing and we'd interviewed her before. And we had a moment, we were at a park and I had the source elevated. And so then some of it had fallen on the ground and it was not a lot. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put her into an environment. I'm not going to push her up where that is. And if she doesn't get into odor, I'm going to walk away. And that's okay. And I was so proud of myself that I did that. And then the little dog caught it and then took off. I was like, what? I was so proud of myself that I was like, okay, it's fine. She didn't find it. It's okay that she didn't find it because it's just not in a way that we could do it that day.
Right.
And then she caught it and then she went and did it and it was gorgeous. And I'm like, well, now we get 2 wins.
Right.
But those little wins are so huge when we can praise ourselves for being able to say, I can walk away or I can stop this before it comes a real shit show. That's the win.
It is. You got to get to a place where, certainly you're not going to take your dog out and then cut them short and go, come on, I'm not going to let you find it. It's not, certainly not. But at the same time, you have to grow. You have to improve yourself and you have to you can't make all your training so easy to make yourself feel good. You can go, I can put a jar out in the field all day long if you want to do that kind of training and you go home successful all the time.
Yeah.
But you have to make, especially if you want, to go and respond to some of these disasters, you have to make the training difficult. But you also have to be, there's ways, when I say help the dog be successful, there are ways to do that without walking over and pointing out the source.
Yeah. You want to talk about some of those?
Sure. There may be ways that you see where between the terrain, the wind and so forth, where you have shaded areas or sun areas and the odor is pooling somewhere and there's a huge kind of void, if you will.
Uh-huh.
the dog is not necessarily incorrect if they're over where, because we get confused sometimes where we know where source is, we see it, but that's not exactly the way the dog is smelling. I mean, they're using their nose and they're going to follow and we train to the strongest odor. And sometimes the strongest odor, depending on how long the hide's been out, et cetera, may be over trapped in a kind of a cooler shaded area.
Uh-huh.
And then there's, for whatever reason, this void. So the dog is not incorrect where they are, but then you could continue with your search pattern and it may allow the dog, you could reward there and then you continue your search pattern and then they encounter the actual odor. And to them, they're like, okay, I found a second one almost. Theoretically, they could, I don't know how they view it, the dogs, but still. Or you have, I don't know, you have a long board or a long tree that's pushed over and you can see that at the end over on this other side is where the source is and the dog's having trouble kind of pinpointing it. You can start presenting areas to say, check here, and you kind of wave your hand type thing, but you could use that tree. I would never go straight to the area and say, could you check this area? Because there's a source, there's an Easter egg right here.
Right.
Exactly. I may start several feet away at another tree and say, check this one and maybe check that one. And most of the dogs would go, okay, thanks, get out of my way. I'll check the rest of the areas. So you've kind of given them a way to start checking some things and they take that and continue on. They find it and they're successful.
Yeah.
And they learn over time how to utilize even objects, if you will. I mean, they do get used to where they get paid and they'll check those things first. But to me, those are ways to help without pointing that out.
So that actually gets to another point. If they see certain things like your hide setting patterns that you might have, if they're used to checking certain things like, oh, they're always in a stump or they're always things like that. What kind of suggestions do you have in terms of maybe helping people kind of break out of that a little bit?
Technology is a great thing. And there's some apps out there that will allow you to randomize your training. You can look at your own training records to see where you've been putting things, what time of day you've been putting, all those kind of things, and make your own list of where you should be putting things. Then compare those against your training records and see where the gaps are and force yourself to go out. Solicit help from friends or people that you can trust that can put hides out for you, that they understand how to put the hides out, because it'll just frustrate you if you just ask a random friend, hey, can you go put this out for me? And they just do something crazy and go, I tried to trick you and I put it over there and told you it was over there. That's not helping. So you have to have a value friend there that understands enough about it.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm a data person. I love looking at it, trying to analyze it to see. So data is your friend. If you're collecting and you're analyzing how you're training, use those to fill the gaps. Everything from the type of source, where it's located, elevated, covered, all those kind of things. Even what time of day. Sometimes because you work, you may can only do it in the evening or something like that, but you have to get creative. It doesn't take very long when you get a puppy to where they outsmart you. Start really thinking, get up earlier and figure out.
So with some of them, it's sooner than later.
Yeah, if you get like an adult dog and start training them, then you're behind the power curve already.
Right, exactly.
I think maybe you have like 3-4 months when you get a puppy that you can, you're like ahead of them. But then after that, especially like selling dogs and everything, you have to go, wait, how am I going to do this? I have to go away and
you want to have one of those slow maturing dogs so you have a little bit longer time.
Yeah, like a phoenix. But I think just use your data.
Yeah.
And do you keep digital logs or paper logs, or how do you keep it?
I use digital.
Digital? Okay.
Because it allows me to analyze.
Are you using Airtable? Do you still do that?
Okay.
I revamped it, if you will.
Yeah.
I collected all kinds of stuff. So I go back over time and go, how often have I used the data from, am I working on or off leash?
Uh-huh.
No, I don't collect that anymore. I may go back, collect it if I get a new dog and a new puppy. But now with Raven, she's almost 7.
Yep.
Well, I don't need to collect that any longer. So it's constantly growing. I've combined some fields or like on distractors, I have distractors. It's a cat food or dog food or people food or treats. Or I was like, okay, it's food.
Right.
Whatever kind of food, that type of thing. So it's like anything else, kind of evolved and learned over the years. But electronic ones, I can go back and do queries to see.
Yeah.
how the relationships of different things.
Just something you've made me think of is I'm going to change one of mine and add in the amount of distractor odor, because that's something that I haven't been, I'll just like, yeah, food, but I wouldn't have said 20 pounds of food.
Rotten with maggots. Yeah.
Right. So that's something I need to put in there, just another little option thing, just so I can click it and kind of be thinking about that now too. So thank you for that.
But there's we do the box drills, speed drills, or games, odor recognition, all those kind of things. And sometimes they're boxes, sometimes they're whatever they are. And you can I think if you put something like really, really heavy, odoriferous kind of odor in there that's different for the dogs, it's going to get their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're alert on it, but they may stop and pause and smell it. The same as if you put a peanut in there.
Yeah. Something really small.
A tiny little peanut. They're like, wait a minute, different.
That's weird.
Yeah. They're so contextual and they're learning, and we're so routine in our training. We put about the same size toy all the time with the same size food all the time. You try something totally different.
Uh-huh.
And you'll see your dog have a little change. And you're like, what? I never thought they would do that. Yes. Because you never trained it. You never exposed them to it, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
We saw that at distraction camp. Wasn't it pickle or bread or Cheeto? It was something like that we thought was going to be, I think it was a piece of bread. They just kept getting a bunch of them. It was something real simple.
Yeah. Or something like
Robin's chiming in on the on the chat. She's like, yep, it was bread. That was such a random, it was just a little piece of bread in one of the ORTs, and it was a Cheeto in the other one.
Hard. If you've ever been on a diet, carbs are hard. And if you have Labradors, dogs they think they're always on a diet.
And this year, broccoli was the hard one. And so we had that in the potentially non-distracting distractors, they'd be on the easier pile, and they were like, nope, broccoli is hard. So you're right. You can go from that thing that really grabs them to the one simple little thing that we say is simple. And they're like, no, that's hard.
Yeah.
Everybody's dogs are different and so forth. Raven is Labrador, of course. And food is very important to her.
Yeah.
I have been really blessed with her on searches and so forth that she's not that kind of lab. She really leaves food alone.
Yeah.
But then again, we go again to a disaster area where magnitude, the availability is everywhere, combined with long search days, stressful days of not getting anything at all, combined with not just what you have, but also all the people that are there eating lunches and everything. And because it's already a disaster zone, I guess it makes sense just to eat your chicken and throw your little chicken wing off to the side, or your hot dog bun off to the side, because you could just, why not trash it? Because there's so much trash. And there was on one day, Raven started out, and I said, whoa, what are you eating? I mean, she just got the release to go search. It was a hot dog bun.
Wow.
It was fresh and everything. It was from probably a worker earlier in the day that chucked it to the side of the road. And I guess Raven had enough, she's like, I'm eating it. But you have to be ready for something you swear your dog would never do. And
I can imagine that. I mean, with an extended deployment like that it would get harder over time too.
And it does. On the last day, we had like a 4 or 5 mile stretch down the side of a riverbank, and a ton of searching. And Raven found a ball.
Uh-huh.
And I stopped and played ball with her for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Find source. She didn't find anything nothing like that.
Yeah.
She came to me, it was like a really muddy tennis ball.
Yeah.
It was like just the best thing in the world for her. I think she was just trying to tell me, I'm tired, Mom. I was able to, let her rest and do all those kind of things, but you have to also give your dog a mental break.
Yeah.
So we stopped for a minute. In the big scheme of things, it's probably 3 minutes. And I threw the ball a couple of times, and I gave her big rewards. Oh, you're such a good girl, blah, 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 and everything. And she's all happy and everything. And then I had to put the ball back, and the sad look on her face.
Oh.
I can't take the ball. I appreciate that you found it, but we cannot take anything from the scene, even a tennis ball that I'm sure no one wants, but not good. So I set it down, and she just had this sad look. And I'm like, okay, with the girl, let's go. And she's like, but I found it. Those mental breaks are so important. So important.
Yeah.
That will help keep dogs going.
I can imagine it can help the handlers too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you take rest breaks and water breaks and all that kind of thing. But when you stop and take a mental break and you give the dog something else like that, So it's whatever. That'll bring them back around a little bit and go, okay, I can do the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious, we've said, and I like you said earlier, people just want to help. If someone listening is inspired to get involved with search and rescue work, what would you recommend them to do?
I would say I would look for local teams in their area and contact the local teams. And I'd contact all the teams. It's like finding a good church or something. You go out to the different teams, you talk to all the handlers, the people or the members, spend time with them, see which one fits best. And I would be open to expanding that range of whatever you're comfortable driving, say an hour or so forth, because you may have to go train, drive that hour every week or so forth. But, just see where you fit in. And I would go to several training sessions and really ask questions and see, what does this involve? How much time, money? What will I really have to be do? What's the worst thing that I could find myself doing? And then they make their decision from there.
You mean it costs things to volunteer?
Yes. Can you believe that?
That is the biggest rhetorical question I think I've heard all night.
It's all free. There's so many come rolling in and you don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, that's how it doesn't work.
Yeah, weren't we just talking about GPS stuff right before we got on the call?
The boots last forever and your equipment never dies and batteries go forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the trainings that you have to go to, they're all free too, and all the travel. And so I was curious, I had another question here. For people who aren't part of search and rescue, but they are fascinated by the cadaver dogs or just by dogs in general, are there some surprising things that you've done with your training or your work that you'd like them to know?
With my work, you mean as far as like just in general about being a cadaver dog handler?
Yeah, sure.
Dog, okay.
Yeah, because we have a big audience that goes, it's well beyond search and rescue. We've got detection handlers, we've got sport handlers, we've got all kinds of.
Gotcha.
I even have high school students that listen. I mean, they don't even have dogs.
They're going to have a dog.
I know.
Wow.
They're just getting ready for a dog. They're like, can I listen? I'm like, sure. They're like, I listened to the last episode. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
So you got a wide audience here.
Wow.
I would say, detection dogs in general, whether cadaver dogs or explosives, et cetera, I think their ability to locate the smallest amount of odor source, training aid, whatever we want to call it, it's just impressive. It's just really impressive. And their ability to locate it in areas that are like deep within something, their ability to sniff through, their ability to say no to so many things and yes to this one tiny, tiny item. And to remember that for years, to me, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So that's my win. And there is a lot of training to it, but in some ways the training is real simple. Is you present this, the dog smells it, and you reward that,
right?
And your timing. It's just very simple.
Yeah.
Take that little simple thing and you expose it to so many different environments and things, but you keep that basic process solid. The dog smells it. What is it? The saying to do is smell it, tell it, say it, pay it. Dogs, I think Heather Sudecamp, I heard that from her years ago. Dogs smell it, they tell you. If you say it, like if you use your marker word, you pay it.
Nice.
Love it.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, that's on a
A lot of times I think people get excited. They're like, oh, this could be something great I could do with my dog, that kind of thing. And I can tell you from my own experience getting into it, that what you might think it's going to be and what it kind of is once you get into the training and you get really deep into it, that it's two different things. And what advice can you give to people that are interested, but also speaking from a reality perspective? Any kind of insight that you can give?
I think if you're talking about people that may call saying they're interested in joining the team or something.
Yeah.
We typically will see a surge if it's known that, like say our team, and here personally, that we've made a find. Sometimes that will result in people email and say, I'm interested in joining because I saw it on the news or something. Like, oh, I can do that. Or certainly the hurricane disaster stuff. They'll always bring out people that want to help and so forth.
Yeah.
But as you talk to the person, sometimes you can hear the words they say. Sometimes the people, they go, my dog needs a job. That usually means a whole lot of things, which may not mean they really want to do search and rescue.
Mm.
We can help educate them on something that may be better suited. A lady called and she used the words, I would just want to help animals a few times, which to me is, it's like, I don't think
this is not the kind of rescue that we're talking about, but
rescue. I think maybe a local animal shelter. When I'm talking to her, I said, well, what I hear you saying is you really love animals and you want to help animals, et cetera. So let me give you a few people that I know locally. And she was super excited. She didn't realize search and rescue, her mind, what she was thinking versus what we think.
yeah. Wow. Okay.
Just talking to them and hearing what they have to say and then for those that are truly, you kind of get through that and you realize, yes, they did call the right number. They do really want to do search and rescue. Then you just kind of go from there and help them navigate the world. And like anything else, you see the ones that stay for a little while and they realize it is too much for them, time, or money, et cetera.
Yeah.
Versus those that are crazy like us and we just keep coming back.
It's not crazy, but
crazy is a good word for it.
crazy, yeah. Passionate. I like the word passionate better. You can own crazy. You can own that one.
Well, we're at the end of our time here, friends. What we like to do is when we get to the end is to have some takeaways and things that you would like to leave people with. And so thinking back to all the things you've shared, if there's something you didn't get a chance to share, and we'll make sure we go first to give you a little bit of a moment to think. So Stacy, would you like to share a takeaway from today?
What's really funny is we always do takeaways and you would think I'd be thinking about my takeaway like as we were talking. So because I always seem like surprised I have to do a takeaway at the end of every episode. And we've done almost 130 episodes. So I'm sitting here trying to think about what in the world
I got one.
There's like so many takeaways, but I guess for me as I'm thinking about the complexity that I need to add into my training to kind of take it to the next level. And this has been really helpful for me in terms of different maybe combinations of things I need to do to thinking about it kind of differently about like introducing different permutations of things I might already be doing, but maybe doing it in a slightly different way or layering it together. And that's actually been very helpful for me. And I think thinking outside of what we may do in standard training, like how can we build upon that? How can we look at that from a different lens or increasing like your whole conversation about distance from distraction odor and amount of odor and stuff like that just kind of made my brain blow up there. So thank you for that.
One of the things that I was thinking about was I wonder if other dog sports or dog activities get as excited as we do about wind. I mean, I guess Frisbee, but they probably get excited in a different way. They don't like it as much. But because I was thinking about when you said, you're using the wind to kind of think about in the teaching phase. And I was we have a storm coming through here. And I was so excited today when I was driving because I could feel the wind doing this really cool eddy, like shaking the van as I'm going. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to put a search out, so I can really use this wind today.
Yeah.
And so that kind of got me earlier because I was thinking about when you talked about the distance of the amount and the distance and how that changes the odor. So then the direction, and then that's the difficulty also in the amount of the distraction odor, and then the difficulty in the amount of the source odor. And then you need to be a little bit more methodical and thoughtful about how I'm putting those together right now. I'm lumping a little bit, and you reminded me of that. So I'm changing that, and I'm also changing two things in my logs. So that was a lot of takeaways for me.
That's good.
Because when's the last time I used humidity? I mean, I have it on there, but I can't really tell you the last time I've used it. So I just need to or maybe I need to figure out how to use humidity as one of my markers. But
so I was told, I don't know if this is helpful, but in terms of understanding humidity, you can see it can affect your dog's effectiveness. So you can kind of track your dog's effectiveness. That's what I was told.
Yeah, but I'm not using it and it's always humid here. So
Don't you live up north?
No, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm at the major confluence of, the mighty Mo and the Mississippi, and it's just always humid here.
Everything's north to Diana. She's in Florida. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Alabama's north. So
My neighbor's north. Everything's. Oh, wow.
So would you like to share? What are your takeaways or things you'd like to either reemphasize or add new? Oh, and also if people have a way of getting a hold of you, or if you would like that or not like that, so anything you want to share, like this is your chance to do that too. No pressure.
I think my takeaway is just personal for me, I guess, is a constant reminder, timing and the rewards. You just can't cheat the dog. You can't go short. You can't be tired. You can't, even if it's your third one or like the box drills or whatever, where, oh, my dog didn't like to do it twice. They don't like to do it twice because the second time you're not as fun as the first time, in my opinion. Because I say that because that's what I did years ago. Like, oh, Raven didn't like to do it again. And she does. She actually really does. She didn't like the way I was rewarding her the second time because it probably wasn't the same. So anyway, I'm just trying to remind myself all the time is try to just get this timing correct, because that'll just fix a lot of things and keep a lot of things from happening. If I can just get that timing right when I say timing is my marker and how I'm marking her behavior and et cetera, and what I'm allowing her to do, and then how I reward her. I got to be like, it's got to be the best moment in her day. And that'll to me, fixes so much. And yeah, anybody can contact me if they like. They can call me or email. You can put all the information in there. Contact Legacy Canine Search Team.
Nice. We'll add that on the show notes for you then. We appreciate you so much. And when you said having the right reward, I'll say I feel very rewarded you've spent all this time with us tonight. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate you.
This is great. I really appreciate it. Helps me think about, when you send the questions over, you think about what you're doing, and it's a good reminder for me.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
The fact that we didn't really stay on, the whole, we told you this was a list of questions, but we may or may not ask more other questions. We reserve the right to.
We reserve the ADHD right.
Right, exactly. It's like the small little fine print.
No, we appreciate you so much, and we want to extend it out to the listeners. Thank you all for being here as well. And as Robin always says, go train.
Canine Detection Collaborative.
We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.